Good morning.
This meeting is being recorded.
My name is Jeff Cameron, and on behalf of the RDIEC, I'd like to welcome and thank Mr. Mike Babcock for joining us here today to discuss his incredible journey in the coaching world through hockey. Mike, it's just a thrill for us to have you here today. You're a Canadian icon and one of the all-time greats. And I'm going to let you take her away here in about 10 seconds, but I'd just like to remind the viewers out there who are watching this today to check out our new website, and you can enter your comments on our website or anything about or any of the recordings, and automatically you're entered to win a $50 gift card, and it takes you about 20 seconds. Mike, take her away, and thanks so much.
Jeff, RDIC guys, thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak to everyone here today. You know, I'm a blessed guy to say the least, and I'm sitting here in my kitchen here in Saskatoon, just about to head back to Detroit. I love being in Saskatchewan. It's a great place where I grew up. The picture on the screen is me, and I don't know if I'm 13 or 14 there. Saskatoon Bruin. So I grew up on 1521 Hilliard Street, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. My dad was a mining engineer, worked for, I think it started as Gulf Minerals, then Eldorado Nuclear, then Cameco. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. We were just as regular family as you could ever be. What I remember about it being a kid and growing up in our house is my mom was always telling me how great I was and how I was going to make a difference in the world. And I really try to do that with my kids, with my athletes. Is I think just the positive reinforcement is so important. That helped me. Anyway, I just start off with here today is I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey, but what I'm going to talk about is following your heart, not your head, but your heart. And parents sometimes don't want to hear that. But I believe that's where the true joy and the idea of following your heart, not your head, but your heart. And I don't think as a parent, sometimes you want to hear that. But I believe that's where the pure joy in life is. My number one passion in my life, without question, growing up, besides my family, was hockey. And I absolutely loved it. All I thought about each and every day was where I could be on the rink, who I was playing with, who I was competing against, and playing in the National Hockey League is just what I thought I was going to do. Like a lot of the Saskatchewan buddies I had, I went to St. James Elementary School, and they had a nice rink there for us. You were on that every single day. When I was in northern Manitoba as a kid, we used to slide down the hill in the back and go to Beaver Dam and skate all the time. It was just something you loved to do, and it was something you're hoping to do. So I believe the difference between good and great in life, and I want you to hear what I'm saying, the difference between good and great in life is passion. Because what passion does is passion allows you to work harder and longer than the next guy. And that's what you need to do and to have success in anything you're doing. If you want to be the best you can be in the world at what you're doing, it's about work ethic. In order to work that hard, you got to love what you're doing. If you don't love it, you have no chance to be great at it. And I think that's a real important thing. So when you're deciding what you're going to do with your life, your parents, my dad was a mining engineer. Just the thought of being an engineer hurts my head. So not that I wasn't good in school, it was of no interest to me. So just because your dad does something doesn't mean you're going to do something. Your mom does something. You got to find your own way. And that, to me, like I said earlier, is where the joy is. So what basically happened to me is I wasn't a good enough player to play in the NHL. I went to multiple camps. I had lots of opportunities. I played major junior. I played college. I played overseas. And, you know, my mom, to tell you the truth, she thought I was never going to stop playing hockey. She had promised or made me promise by 1990. So I'm a 63 birth date. So by 1990 that the beer commercial lifestyle that I was living was going to come to an end. In other words, I was playing hockey overseas. I was training all the time. I was living the good life. And even though my buddies, because I went to McGill University, went to the US too, that graduated with me already were on and had big jobs, I was still goofing off and playing hockey. So the way I got into coaching, I'd like to tell you that it was a lifelong plan. It wasn't at all. I came back in the summer for playing overseas. I had signed a 3-year deal to go back. I was at my dad and mom's place. We had a trailer and a deck at Meeting Lake we used to go to. And my brother-in-law showed up, and there was a job in the paper advertised at Red Deer College for an intramural director, a college instructor, and a head hockey coach. And I had been to grad school at McGill. I had taught at Northumberland College overseas, so I had a little bit of background. I'd been a player coach over there, so I thought I had enough to at least apply. And I didn't really want the job, but I wanted a freeway. I don't know if you guys know what the Calgary Stampede is, but it was a massive party when I was a kid. I love two-step and I love country music. And so I thought, if I get this job or opportunity interview at Red Deer College, I'll get a free trip to the Calgary Stampede. Well, I got the opportunity. I jumped in the truck, drove to Red Deer, put on my suit or a sports jacket or whatever, across the school across the street, went in, and partway through the interview for this job at Red Deer College, I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm going to get this job. And that's what happened. So that lifestyle that I had going and playing hockey and kind of really enjoying everything suddenly came to an end. Suddenly I was a grown up. And so now I'm an intramural director. I'm teaching first and second year introductory courses, and I'm running the hockey team at Red Deer College. When I went to Red Deer, I met this lady, Maureen Marine, who's my wife now of 31 years. We've been together 34 years. That was a massive game changer for me. It kind of, I had to grow up anyway to do the job I was doing. And for me to be lucky enough to get a life partner that made me a better man was so important. So what I mean by a life partner, you want to surround yourself with great people that make you better. You want to surround yourself with great people that make you better, that make you accountable. I get more tightenings in a day from my wife than probably any man, but she's an unbelievable support for me. She's made me a better person, more accountable, keep you focused, keeps you understanding what's the most important things in life, and is a true friend like you wouldn't believe, to say the least. So anyway, it wasn't my plan to coach. I thought I'd end up at McGill and be a professor, to tell you the truth, go back and finish my master's and get a PhD. That's not what happened. I got on this journey and right away I loved it. When I married Reen, we moved back to Saskatchewan. I got the job after 3 years at Red Deer College. I became the head coach of the Moose Jaw Warriors. I coached in Moose Jaw for 2 years. We, in our second year there, it was the worst franchise in the Western Hockey League. We didn't do a lot of winning. So when I got used to getting booed and I'd walk out in my car, it would be all covered with crap and stuff like that. The first time I ever got fired was in Moose Jaw. The second time when I got fired in Toronto, it wasn't a big deal because I was set for life. The first time I got fired in Moose Jaw, we just had a new baby. We didn't have any money. You got to come home and you got to tell your wife you just got fired. Now, in life, here's your plan. Like as a young person, you think life's just going to go smooth. It's just a straight line. But in reality, it's not like that. And anytime things go wrong and there's a dip and it's going the wrong way for you, those usually, in my opinion, are just springboards for something better for you. But the way you feel about yourself is so important. So we talked today a ton about mental health. The loop in your head, when you're feeling negative about yourself, you got to have a process to stop that loop that gets going in your set, that negative self-talk. Well, what I do, I pray. Now, everyone's got a different way to do it, but I don't let setbacks bother me very freaking long. I've been someone who feels good about themselves and has been able to bounce back quick. And I think that's a great skill in life, because reality, there's going to be lots of setbacks as you go, but the better people you surround yourself, the better your friend group is, the better your family supports you, the better people you have around you, the more strength you have. And I talked about my wife already. I think that's a key for success, because there's going to be a ton of setbacks in life. Anyway, I got coaching simply because there was an opportunity there. I had been prepared by by getting a university degree, by being a school teacher, by being a coach. As a playing coach, I got the opportunity. After I got fired in Moose Jaw, I couldn't find a job. It took us quite a while to find a job, but we were able to land the job at the University of Lethbridge with the Pronghorns. That program is now defunct, but it was a program, and it never made the playoffs in its 10-year history. So when I got there, right away they started announcing they were going to cut the program. But we were fortunate enough, there was a guy named Dave Adolph who had done a real good job recruiting, that had the program before me. We had a good team. We went on that year and we won a national championship. And the little girl that I'm holding there in my left arm is my daughter. She's a 29-year-old public health. She's got a master's in public health, works in Austin, Texas, tries to save your life one vegetable at a time. So that's how long ago this was. But what it was is I'd just been fired. It's a setback in life. Next thing you know, you win the national championship. You don't win the national championship just by going there and getting lucky. You obviously have to build a program. But that led to confidence for me. And that was a huge step for me in my career. On the left-hand side, you can see kind of the process I've gone through. So I was at Red Deer College 3 years. I was 2 years in Moose Jaw, got fired. I was 1 year at the University of Lethbridge. Now, partway through the year at the University of Lethbridge, the Spokane Chiefs came knocking, and they wanted me to go there. But I'd made a commitment to the U of L, and I was going to stay and finish my job. Just kind of like this year at the U of S, when teams talk to you, I made a commitment here. You finish that before you move on. You make a commitment, you honor that commitment. Anyway, I was 3 years there. Then I was 6 years in Spokane. And my time in Spokane, I was fortunate enough to coach the World Junior team for Canada and win a gold medal for Canada in 1997. I was lucky in Spokane. I talked about surrounding yourself with great people. I had a guy named Tim Speltz, was the general manager, and a guy named Bobby Brett, who's a big real estate mogul. His brother, George Brett's in the Hall of Fame, second highest vote getter of all time, George Brett. I'm still good friends with those guys today. I'm business partners with Bobby. You build relationships, people look after you, people make you better. Anyway, it took me 14 years to get to the National Hockey League. So when you look at this on the left, I went 6 years in Spokane to the World Junior, 2 years in Cincinnati. In Cincinnati, I was the head coach for their American Hockey League team for the Anaheim Mighty Ducks and the Detroit Red Wings. And so basically you're interviewing for those next jobs. Then what happened, I was fortunate enough in, what year was that? 2002, I was named the head coach of the Cincinnati Mighty Ducks. Now, pretty cool thing for me. We got to work for Disney for 5 years. I had little kids. My kids got to go to Disneyland all the time. Was pretty special. But for a kid from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, who grew up on 1521 Hilliard Street, who wasn't good enough to play in the NHL, to suddenly be in the NHL, that's Ryan Getzlaff there. He's still the captain of the Ducks. Ryan Getzlaff's dad does my brother-in-law's kitchen at the lake. I've known we drafted Getzy when I was in Anaheim, when he was with the Calgary Hitmen. It all kind of runs together. But this picture of me, that suit looks like it's 3 sizes too big too. It was a long time ago, but it took us 14 years of grinding to have this opportunity. But for me, it was beyond special to get there. So the journey my wife and I had, we never made any money. So I went to McGill University. All my buddies graduated, MBAs, law school, whatever, had done really well. We were still struggling away, but when you're struggling and you love what you do, you don't even know you're struggling. I didn't know we couldn't afford anything. I know you didn't buy anything, you didn't have anything special. Your cars weren't very nice, but because you loved what you did, you had a chance to get better at it. And the only way, I think you got to be all in. I have an addictive personality. And what I mean by that is, the matter if I'm water skiing, I'm all in. I'm hunting, I'm all in. I'm downhill skiing, I'm all in. Those are my passions. When I farm, I'm all in. I can't help it. You got to do work. To have success, you got to outwork the guy next to you. And I don't care if that's at school, if that's in sport, if that's in your accounting firm. That's what you have to do to have success. Anyway, I was fortunate enough to spend 3 years in Anaheim, 2 years and then a lockout, 2 years with the farm team. When I was in Anaheim, my first year in the NHL, I was really fortunate. I had a great general manager named Brian Murray. He helped me become a better coach. He helped us improve the team. Yeah, Paul Correa was a star for us there. We built the team over the year. We had missed the playoffs by 25 points. We ended up losing in the Stanley Cup final to New Jersey, Game 7. It was a heartbreaker, to say the least. Pat Burns was the head coach of the other team. I remember watching them get the Stanley Cups. I stood there and watched the presentation. You know, hurt and all that, but I also felt like he had earned it more than I had. But to get to that point in my first year really grew confidence. And I think that earning confidence is so important. It allows you to take another step. From Anaheim, when the lockout came, Brian Murray left to be the coach in Ottawa, and I think general manager, if I'm not mistaken. And so suddenly Brian Burke came to Anaheim to be the general manager. That year in the lockout, you know, was a lot of uncertainty. I didn't know if they were going to keep me or not keep me. When I went to meet with them, they gave me 10 days to look around. They didn't really want me that bad, offered me a 1-year deal. In the meantime, I talked to a number of other teams, and I was offered a contract to coach the Detroit Red Wings. Now, I still live in Detroit. I live in a place called Brighton. We were real lucky. My kids got to grow up in the same town. 2 of my girls went to the University of Michigan. My son went up in Boston, but they grew up there. They didn't have to move much. You know, we got fired twice in our career, once in Moose Jaw and once in Toronto, but they were a long time in between. So my kids had a pretty stable life compared to most coaches. Anyway, I got a chance to coach in Detroit, and it was after the lockout. Fortunate enough to have real good teams there. We had 3 opportunities to win the cup. We only won it once. This is a picture of my dad in 2008, right here in Saskatoon in his kitchen. He's not alive anymore, but that's him showing his appreciation for the Stanley Cup, to say the least. Right there in the middle, I don't know if you can see it, but it says my name's right next to Scotty Bowman and Todd McClellan, Paul McLean, Steve Eiserman's above me on the Stanley Cup. Jay Woodcroft's now the head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. Woody was my video coach then. Anyway, on those names, it's pretty cool. Your name goes on the Stanley Cup forever. And well, at least until you die, it rolls off. It takes so long to get off. But I was fortunate to spend 10 unbelievable years in Toronto or in Detroit. Had a great time there. Our family grew up and we loved every second of it. Here's a picture of my family at Emma Lake. I actually drove up to my place at Emma Lake. I've sold it to a good buddy of mine, Reggie, and grabbed a bunch of my stuff because I'm driving back to take that back. My kids, we came home every summer to Saskatchewan, wanted our kids to be around unbelievable people and around their families. That's been a special thing for us. Now they have their own lives and we get together in Michigan. We live on the water there more, but that's a pretty special picture for our family, to say the least. By doing a good job in Detroit, and you only get to coach Canada's national teams, obviously they don't give them to you. You're trying out for it. And so I was fortunate enough to work with Steve Eiserman. He played for me in 05-06, and then I worked with him for 4 years. After we lost in Game 7 on the Stanley Cup final in 09. So we won it in 08. And then in 09, we lost to Pittsburgh in Game 7. The next day, he asked me to come into his office and he offered me the opportunity to coach Canada's Olympic team. And kind of like my thing at Red Deer College, I got out of the office and I sat in my truck for a minute and I thought, oh my God, I'm going to get to coach Canada's Olympic team. And, you know, obviously, an unbelievable honor, but an unbelievable responsibility to the country too, is you want to do a good job and you want to have fun doing it and you want to have success. As you can see, Jacques Lemaire, Lindy Ruff, Kenny Hitchcock, great coaches I got to be around. In order to get to this point, in order to have success, everything's got to be a gold medal process. So what I mean by that is you don't just get to the gold medal game and you win. You have a gold medal selection process for managers, then coaches, then players, then you develop everything every day has got to be at a high end. Now, do you ever have down days? Sure you do. But if you don't do things at the very highest level, you have no chance to have success in the end. Anyway, the opportunity to go to the Olympics and represent Canada in Western Canada in Vancouver when I got off the plane from Detroit, I'll never forget it. The expectation and the pressure just hits you like a wall. But what was so cool about that is you got to share it with your family. My wife and my kids came, and the greatest things in your life, if you got no one to share it with, I don't know how much fun that would be. But having my family to share it with each and every day, and the players got to do the same. We'd get together at the hotel the night before, and then we'd practice the next day after we play, and then they could spend the time with her family. But sharing it with the family was absolutely special. This is in the dressing room after with the Prime Minister after we won. This is in Sochi. So we got to do it again in Sochi. Sochi was different. We still went through the same process, picked the best managers, best coaches, the best players. But what was different about that is no one's family came. It was in Russia. And so it was all about being with the other athletes. And that was an unbelievable experience too, because everything was contained in the village. You could see the other athletes compete. So that was a different kind of feeling. What's interesting here is just when I look at this picture right here, you see Patrick Sharp's an advisor, was NBC, but an advisor with the Chicago Blackhawks. Martin St. Louis, the head coach of Montreal. You see Bergeron right there, still with Boston. Crosby still, Jamie Benn still in Dallas. Getzy, I already talked to you about. Pretty special players, and in the end, that's why we had success. Here's us singing the national anthem, arm in arm. There's Claude Julien, Ralph Kruger, Andrew Brewer, and all the players. Some have retired, but some are still there. But to sing your national anthem, when you're Canadian, you go to these events, the only time they sing your anthem, there's no anthem before the games, is after you win. So the only chance you get to hear your anthem is when you win. Pretty special event. Here's 2016 at the World Cup. I was the coach of Toronto here. This was the last World Cup. And, it was a joy. Once again, the best players. And a lot of the guys from 2010, 2014, 2016 was a lot the same group. I feel real bad for John Cooper and the guys. Cooper earned the right to coach the Olympic team this year. No NHL athletes went. The other guys that might have had one more kick at the can. It's unfortunate they didn't get a chance to go and to represent their country. Right there, I don't know if you can see this is that picture has my McGill tie. I tried to win that or wear that in the gold medal games. It was a way for me to honor McGill University. McGill University helped me build a foundation for the rest of my life. What I mean by that is the people I met, the advisors I had, the courses I took, set up a foundation for me to earn confidence in the end that allowed me to understand how important lifelong learning was and to get better. And so I tried to honor them in all the big games. I also thought it was good luck. Here's a little celebration after. That's Petrangelo, who plays for Vegas, captain in Vegas now. And here's just some of the stuff along the way. Why did I put this in? I put this in simply because I want to reinforce all the great things that happen to you in your life. They're only important, or they're only good if you have someone to share it with. And really, the measure of myself and my wife and me as a man is the kids I've raised and the family I raised and the impact they're going to have on society. So I'm real blessed. That little girl that you saw in the picture with the University Cup is Alexander. She's on the right. Like I said, she's a public health person in Austin, Texas, works for a big company nationwide and loves her job. My little girl, the one on the left, she's a 24-year-old. She's got her master's in occupational therapy. She works in Denver at the Children's Hospital, and she works with mental health kids 3 days a week and other kids 2 days a week, and absolutely loves her job. My son, actually, Michael, he's here with me. He played college hockey. My daughter played college soccer too, played college hockey, junior hockey, college hockey, went on, played pro overseas, came back, worked in software, didn't like it. And now he's taking his MBA, and he was with me this year at the University of Saskatchewan. I came here this year. I'm basically retired, but I came here this year to be the head coach of the University of Saskatchewan to help him, Brandon Cote, become coaches, get off to a good start. And he's taking his MBA here. I'm not sure he loves the MBA, but I just think it's a great foundation. Gets you skills to set you up for your life, whether you're going to be a coach or not. Anyway, this in the end is what I'm most proud of. I don't know how I ended up a coach, to be honest with you. Like I said to you, I want to go to the Calgary Stampede. All I know is the reason I believe, or the reasons I believe that I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of success in my life is that I had unbelievable parents. They built an unbelievable foundation for me of knowing what was right and wrong and of accountability. I met an unbelievable lady. I had lots of people help me along the way, all my coaches, my teachers, the impact they made on me. And I can list off all my minor hockey coaches. I can list off tons of teachers, the people that impacted me over the years to help you get better along the way. I hope I've been able to pass a lot of that along the way. I've had tons of players do really well. I'm in contact daily with tons of players I've coached over the years. That part's all a lot of fun, but in the end, the joy I have in my life is because of this family right here. And I'm forever thankful for them, for what they do for me and how they make me a better person. I hope in this, I've covered some things that might help you. I don't know if we open it up to a question and answer period right here now or what we do, but thank you very much for your time.
Mike, I'd just like to, I have a few questions for you, but firstly, thank you on behalf of us all who are watching here and who will be watching for the power in your words. And
Well, thank you.
When you mention family and foundation and your passion, it just goes on and on what you said. I know Winston Churchill once said, we make a living by what we earn. We make a life by what we give. And I just want to thank you for giving all your time and for us today and through the years and with your coaching. And I know Canada really looks up to you and watching the Olympics with Detroit, Toronto. I'm going to just open it up for some other questions because I have a few for you, but thank you so much for your words. I just can't thank you enough for joining us today. Very powerful.
Thank you.
Anybody there for questions?
Kevin here. I don't really have any questions, Mike, either, but just thanks again. That was awesome. I fully believe in that. Follow your passions, and I think you hit the nail on the head.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Mike, I'll just a couple of questions.
Yep.
You know, obviously you've coached so many great teams. I always felt just from being a huge fan that the 2014, of course, you had the big goal from Crosby in 2010, but in 2014, I always felt that team, to me, defensively, you always just seemed to be in control of the games, and in my opinion, was one of the greatest teams ever. How would you rank that? I know that's a tough question, but.
No, it's not a tough question. That's the best team I ever coached by a mile. Faster, more depth. There was no question we were going to win every game. Even when the game was close, we were just that much better. The other team hardly touched the puck. Great guys, no distractions because you're just there in a bubble by yourself. The guys played so hard, but you want to talk about just controlling everything. That's what that team was. The 2010 team was good too. When you think about it, we gave up the lead with 22.4 seconds left. You think like you got the gold medal in your hand and then you let two guys be backside and shoot it in the empty net. You know, I'll never forget that feeling, to say the least. But to come back and for Iggy to make the play to Sid and for him to bury it, to be a hero for the rest of his life is pretty special. But you know, the World Cup team, even though it was a World Cup team, we weren't near as good. We weren't near as quick, and the other teams had an opportunity. So that by far was the best team I ever coached.
Mike, I don't know if you can answer this, but I hear this rumor once in a while that your 2014 Sochi team, you're having a hard time making the last pick. And I heard that there might have been a chicken farmer, a Greek restaurant owner, and a fireman make that last pick. Is there any truth to that, or do you want to comment on that?
You know, it is the classic thing is about everybody always thinks they picked the team. I'll tell you a little story. Every year I'd come back to Saskatchewan, and these plumbers, they had an auction, bought a fishing trip with me. So before the 2010 Olympics, I think it is before the 2010 Olympics, we went up to Clam Lake. We're all fishing, having some beers, whatever. So at night, what I did is I pulled up all the sheets and I put up the Olympic team tryout roster. We're getting ready to go to camp and stuff like that. And those guys to this day, they still believe they picked the Olympic team in 2010, those plumbers. So it's amazing how guys think they had a little input there.
Awesome. Got another question here for you. We better bring Derek Liedall into this. Of course, he was our goalie down in college when I played a little bit of college hockey down in the States. And he was always telling us that we were just college bums and that he would have made the NHL. But the only difference between him and Patrick Waugh was that his glove hand was a wee bit faster than Patrick Waugh's. Well, how would you comment to Derek on that?
You know, it's for the kids that are out there is Derek Liedall has been my good friend since probably I was 16 years old. We played in the Saskatoon Contacts together, and we've been tight ever since. He's a retired fireman here in Saskatoon. He's actually on a vacation right now with his family, but no, he wasn't any good, but he's a good man. And you know, those friendships are just so important in your life, to have good people to be around, to be there for you, to help you grow. I think is special. And you know, obviously all of us, there's a t-shirt made by Nike. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It says, the older I get, the better I was. And so that affects all of us as we get a little older. But the reality is the good players get a chance to play in the National Hockey League, and the rest of us were just wishing we did.
Well, thanks so much, Mike. I just thought I'd throw a few of those in there. I don't know. We have a classroom out of Carlisle. Any questions there, Mr. Wilson? Anybody else?
Yeah. Hey, Colin here. Colin Wilson out of Carlisle. Sorry about the beginning there, Mike. We were having I've got some grade 11s and grade 12s. And actually, before you get going here, we wanted, I was just talking to the kids on your 2010 Olympic team there. You had Brendan Morrow on your team. So we're down here in Carlisle, and I know you touched a lot about, you know, passion and character and whatnot. I didn't know if you could maybe mention the kind of, I know him a little bit personally, and I know the kind of guy he is, like his works hard kind of attitude. If you could just maybe touch on him a little bit, that'd be great. Sure.
So Mo, so he played for the Portland Winterhawks, and we competed against them. I mean, every day in Spokane. We had the best team there for about 6 years. He was there for 4 years. Then he played in Dallas. And when Detroit and Dallas, we used to meet and we used to battle there. And they played for me at the Worlds, played for me the Olympics. Mo was just a hard-nosed guy who did it right every day, still involved in Dallas, real good guy. When you think of Southern Saskatchewan, you think of Patrick Marleau, you think of Mo. There's so many guys that have come back in the summers and helped out, but that have gone on and represented Saskatchewan. You know, it's impressive to say the least. So we're not tight by any means. I'm not in a circle at all. In saying that, though, he's done an unbelievable job for himself. But if I could just, in closing here, if I could address your students, you know, there's lots of things I've learned over my time. I got 3 kids. They're young, a lot older than you now. But if I can give you any advice, the number one thing I'd say to you is be kind to yourself. And what I mean by that is in today's world, and just in every world, is there's lots of things that go on around you, and there's going to be people that say things about you and your boss and your teacher and all that to try to make you better. It's so important for you to be kind to yourself, to feel good about yourself. And then the second thing I'd say to you is enjoy. The word enjoy. You have to find things that bring you joy. So for me, one of the key things I've been able to do away from my job, I love my job, but away from my job that bring me joy, besides my family, downhill skiing, I ski in the course water skiing every day all summer, and hunting. There were 3 things that put a smile on my face and got me away from the world and that loop going in my head. I think as a young person today, you have to be able to be kind to yourself. I have 2 girls, especially if you're a woman, and find things that bring you joy. I'm done.